measured could be explained by a flat Earth if the sun were only a few thousand miles away and 32 miles across. The math would work out the same.
The problem that often escapes the perception of Eratosthenes' proponents is that we can film the sun growing and getting smaller throughout the day as it moves closer during sunrise and farther at sunset. This was initially denied since in the ball Earth model, the sun's size could never change, but the photographic evidence that the sun does indeed change sizes during the day is by now overwhelming. And there's a video by this guy, Wolfie, who is claiming that the sun is not changing sizes, and you can go and download that video and put it in the software, get the beginning and the end of the video, and you will see that there is a change in the size of the sun, and it is done with a solar filter, with the idea that there's no change because there's no glare, but in fact there is a change if you measure it, and I've done that.
Somebody sent me a link to a Wolfie video that I looked at and watched, and when you watch it, it's a sunset time lapse using a solar filter, and everybody in the comments was like, this proves the globe, the sun didn't change sizes, and it did not appear to change sizes, but that is the simple-minded, misleading scientific proofs that are killing the truth movement, because people see this and they go, nope, Earth is round, sun's really far away, it's not changing sizes. But you have to take a deeper look at things, and you cannot be biased when you're doing this research. And you got to be humble. You can't let your pride stop you from looking for alternative answers. But again, I took a screenshot of the sunset at its lowest point here. I'll go back so you can see. Took a screenshot at its highest point in the video, and right before it vanished, took a picture of it here, a screenshot rather, and I looked at them, and it's hard to tell a difference when you're going back and forth in size. They look very similar, but when you zoom in, you can see that this size difference here, because the one on the left here is the sunset one, and this is one that's up higher in the sky, probably closer to noon, really not sure, but you enlarge them, you can see a size difference that we should not see on the globe Earth model. This is more than a decimal place. This is more than 0.01 or 0.001. Okay, so definitely if you put 4 zeros in there, this looks like to me 20%. I haven't really done the math on this or really done any crazy measurings. I just wanted to show you stuff that you can see with your own eyes. Don't have to do crazy math. I'm not going to throw any crazy formulas at you. The truth does not need such nonsense.
The heliocentric model was right. The video of the different sizes of the sun, I would say, here it is, I'm all done. You only need one picture. Obviously, that isn't the case. The sun does change sizes throughout the day, and it does change sizes throughout the seasons, which doesn't match what we've been told by mainstream science. And that's the brand name and make of the solar telescope. Now it doesn't have any zoom on it either. It's locked in at 500 millimeters. So when I take these pictures, there's no way to zoom in or zoom out or change anything when I take still photographs. And that's how it attaches. All I have is just the end of the Barlow lens screwed into the camera, and it lets slide into the sensor, and the pictures are identical focal length each and every time. So what I was going to show here, this is one of the pictures that I used, the 7/9/16 at 3:30 in the afternoon. And what I did was I lined the measuring tool up, and this is the grid pattern that comes up in the camera. And this is to show that the pictures haven't been cropped. So if I move it up here, line it up, you can see that the picture hasn't been cropped up or down that way. So now we'll go down here and we'll check the sides. Line it up with the edge of the picture. Line it up with the grid line on the camera. And we'll bring it over here. As you can see, the picture has not been cropped. Now, I'm not going to do this with every one of the pictures. It would take too long and it'd be too boring for you to watch. But as you're going through the video, I leave this grid pattern up. And the ones that I took with my 70D, this grid pattern doesn't come up with P900. But throughout the video, I leave this grid pattern up to show that the pictures haven't been cropped. Now for an example, I'll kick up and we'll crop this picture to show you what I'm talking about. If I crop this picture like so, I hit apply. See what happens to the grid pattern? That's why I left this grid pattern up throughout the video, to show that the pictures haven't been cropped or manipulated. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the camera and the telescope that I use, and that there's no way taking still pictures that I can zoom in or zoom out. Also, the software that I use, Aperture, tells you what the focal length is, and it's 0. Now this will stay the same for each and every picture that I take through that telescope with my camera. Now I went and we'll size this picture up. Make sure it's lined up on each edge. Took this one on 7/4/16 at 12 minutes after 6 in the morning. I believe sun will rise was around 5:15 or 5:30. Waited for the sun to come up and get through the atmospheric distortion, to be fair with sizing the pictures up. So now we'll go to this one, and this one, 0 focal length, 7/4/16, 8 minutes after noon on the 4th of July last year, almost exactly a year ago. Bring in the same measuring device that we used to measure the morning picture. And clearly it is larger than the morning picture. Also, I want to point out the reason why I have this up is to show that these pictures have not been cropped. Now we'll bring in the 6 in the evening, 7 minutes after 6 on the 4th of July last year. Same thing, 0 focal length. I can't change with the setup I have. Bring this back in, line it up on top, line it up on that edge. And we have shrinkage over here from the noon picture, and a little shrinkage over here. I live in Denver, so I'm not blessed with being able to get pictures all the way out with the mountains blocking my view. But as you can see, there's measurable difference from noon till 6 in the evening and from morning to noon. Back to the noon picture. There it is. You have overage over here and you have hanging out on the bottom. Now I'll show you another example of the sun changing sizes throughout the day. As you can see up here, focal length 1600 millimeters, and the other focal length here at 285 millimeters. I've got this all lined up, and this is taken at 10 minutes to 9 on 10/22 of last year. So now we'll kick up our other picture, and the same thing at a focal length 1600, 35 millimeters, our focal length at 285. Took it at 15 minutes after 12 on 10/22. We'll bring this in and line it up. Lined it up with this edge and this edge, and as you can see, it's bigger. Now we'll kick up the evening picture. Same thing, focal length 1600 millimeters, 35 millimeters, focal length 285. So they are all taken with the exact same zoom. I'll bring this in, line it up. Just a little bit sticking out there, but we're a little bit smaller down here. So as you can see, on this day, the sun did actually change sizes throughout the day. And here's another example. I done this one on 7/9 last year. We got 0 focal length, taken at 6:27 in the morning, and waited for it to get through the atmospheric distortion to be fair with sizing it up. Now we'll kick up the noon picture on that same day, 0 focal length, 7/9/16 at 12:30. Bring this in and line it up. Pretty close. Look at there. Larger here, larger down here. Now we'll bring in the 3:35 picture. Took this one at 3:35 in the afternoon on 7/9, 0 focal length. I'll bring in the measuring device again. That was lined up for the morning picture. And on this day I didn't get a late in the evening picture. And as you can see, it's starting to shrink back down again. Okay, now we're going to see if it changes sizes throughout the seasons. Again, we have 0 focal length, never changes. It can't change. I couldn't force it to change if I wanted to. And we've got the grid up here to show that it's not been cropped. 11/25/16 at 1:40 in the afternoon. I sized this picture up. So now we'll go pick something earlier in the year. We'll choose one of these. This picture here, that's about 12 o'clock. That's on the 4th of July. And we'll roll this in and see what we see. Line it up there and there. And oh my goodness, look at that. Quite a bit smaller. And let's go back, and that one is, like I said, the 4th of July at 8 after noon. And again, 0 focal length. This one is on 3/4 of this year at about 1 o'clock. So I think that'll be a fair one to use, right around the same time. And we'll slide this in and see what we see. Put it up there and there. And it isn't quite as big as the November picture, but bigger than the 4th of July. Does the sun change sizes throughout the season? Yes. Does it change sizes throughout the day? Yes, it does. Now, I will say that not every day that I've went out and taken pictures throughout the day does the sun change sizes. I haven't quite pinned down why that is, but there are quite a few days when the sun does change sizes from sunrise to noon to sunset. Thank you for watching.
off.
.44, so we have about a minute left. Just joining us. This is flat Earth sunset. As you can see, the sun is pretty much out of our line of sight right now due to perspective. As you can see, it's getting smaller and smaller as it goes further and further away, not down. We're pretty much down to the last minute here of the sunset. And as you can see, it's just a tiny little speck, and it's gone. It's gone. Now, as you can see, the light source is still centralized above the clouds, and it's exactly why the entire sky is not filled with the sun right now. It completely makes sense if you can get your mind around the flat Earth model and understand that the sun and the moon are rotating above us, and they're much, much smaller, much closer. They're not big, giant balls of gas. They're more like lights, similar to the stars and the roaming planets. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. As you can see here, the horizon is completely flat. Now over here, this is the more light side of the sky, considering the sun set on the other side where Phantom 2 is right now. But you can still see horizon everywhere within view is completely flat. No little curvature at all, no little bubbles, besides the hills and valleys that you can see here, of course. You can see it's getting smaller and smaller as it goes further and further away, not down. We're pretty much down to the last minute here of the sunset. And as you can see, it's just a tiny little speck, and it's gone. You can see it's getting smaller and smaller as it goes further and further away, not down. And we're pretty much down to the last minute here of the sunset. And as you can see, it's just a tiny little speck, and it's gone.